NBA YoungBoy's concert in New Orleans, the night exploded into pure chaos. Fans flooded the streets screaming his name, chasing his car, waving banners, and holding their phones high trying to catch a glimpse of him. But in the blink of an eye, the entire vibe flipped. Sirens blared, flashing lights hit the crowd, and cops swarmed in like they were raiding a war zone. Seconds later, NBA YoungBoy was dragged off by officers, and now reports claim he's been banned from performing anywhere in Louisiana. How did it come to this? Let's break down what really went down that wild night. October 19th, 2025, a date every fan in Louisiana will remember. The Smoothie King Center was packed to the ceiling, with over 17,000 screaming fans ready to witness history. This was more than a concert. It was a homecoming for a man who hadn't touched a Louisiana stage in 7 long years. The energy was unreal, green lights flashing everywhere, symbolizing that never broke again mindset that's kept YoungBoy untouchable through every battle. The crowd was roaring like they were ready for a revolution. The bass hit, the smoke blasted, and YoungBoy stormed the stage with that same fire that's made him one of the most streamed and most feared voices in hip-hop. Every lyric echoed through the walls like a war cry. Fans knew every bar word for word, shouting his verses like gospel. You could feel the city's heartbeat in that building. It wasn't just music, it was resurrection energy. But hold up, this wasn't just another stop on a tour. This was a statement. The New Orleans show was part of NBA YoungBoy's headline, grabbing MASS on tour, which stands for Make America Slime Again, a 45-city run across the country that kicked off in Dallas back in September and was supposed to end in Seattle mid-November. This wasn't small-time stuff, massive production, lasers cutting through the smoke, pyros bursting like fireworks on the 4th of July, and guest acts like Offset Tusi and No Cap tearing up the stage. The energy was so high, it felt like the roof could collapse from the noise. But here's where it gets messy. The New Orleans Police Department wasn't playing around, not even a little bit. They rolled in heavy. Over 400 officers deployed across the French Quarter and the Central Business District. That's not crowd control, that's lockdown mode. Every exit, every alley, every parking lot had flashing lights. It felt more like a political rally under surveillance than a rap concert. See, authorities already had their eyes on YoungBoy the moment the tour was announced. Rumors say certain local officials didn't even want him performing in the city, claiming it could disrupt public order. But fans weren't trying to hear that. This was YoungBoy's city, his comeback, his redemption. Yet by the end of the night, that celebration turned into another headline, and whispers started spreading that Louisiana had officially turned its back on its most controversial son. We're talking tactical units posted on rooftops, surveillance drones circling in the air like hawks, and armored trucks lined up across the city like it was wartime. The police turned the French Quarter into a full-blown fortress. But why all that heavy presence, you ask? Because this wasn't just another stop on the tour. This was NBA YoungBoy stepping foot in Louisiana soil again. And officials weren't about to risk a single thing going sideways. His MASS tour had already been wild across the country. Brawls backstage, last-minute venue cancellations, and crowd stampedes that made headlines everywhere. So when the stop hit New Orleans, the city said, "Not here." They locked it down tighter than a bank vault. Inside the Smoothie King Center, the vibe was strict. No bags, no purses, no backpacks, nothing. Just you, your phone, and your ticket. The rule was clear. No nonsense tonight. The NOPD Assistant Superintendent Hans Esser even stepped up and gave a public statement warning fans to leave the straps at home. He straight up told people not to stash guns in their cars because thieves had been breaking into vehicles around concert venues. His message couldn't have been louder. No weapons, no smoke, no drama. And guess what? Inside the arena, it actually worked. Everything ran smooth, and the crowd, man, the energy was off the charts. YoungBoy hit the stage like a storm, track after track, no breaks, no hesitation. His signature intensity was unmatched. Songs about loyalty, pain, and surviving the trenches hit deep, and fans were screaming every lyric like it was their own story. Over 15 billion YouTube views ain't no accident. He's built an empire on raw emotion and real talk. The stage design, straight movie vibes, dancers dressed in military fatigues, smoke clouds rolling across the floor, and a coffin-style entrance that had the whole crowd losing their minds. The man knows how to turn a concert into a cinematic experience. When the show wrapped around midnight, everyone left that arena charged up, phones out, voices gone, and hearts racing. It felt like history had just been made. But then, the night took a sharp left turn, because just an hour later, between 1 and 2 a.m., when most people were still riding the post-show high, NBA YoungBoy decided to make a move that no one saw coming. And get this, it all went down on his 26th birthday. What was supposed to be a night of celebration flipped into straight chaos in downtown New Orleans. Fans, cops, and social media all got caught in the storm that was about to blow wide open. Instead of chilling at the crib or throwing a quiet birthday bash, NBA YoungBoy pulled a wild move. He hit the streets. On his 26th birthday, fresh off that sold-out arena show, he decided to take a late-night stroll through downtown New Orleans like he wasn't one of the most recognizable rappers on the planet. He rolled out with a tight crew, about 8 people deep, but here's the catch. No security detail, no bodyguards, no SUVs blocking traffic, just him, vibing through the city like it was nothing. He started walking near Canal Street and Bourbon Street, 2 of the most packed, party-heavy areas in the whole French Quarter. Picture it, bars blasting music, neon lights flashing, tourists drunk off hurricanes, and then boom, YoungBoy Badass himself just casually walking by like a ghost from the stage. Now pause and really think about that for a second. You've got thousands of fans who just left the Smoothie King Center, still screaming his name, adrenaline pumping through their veins. What do you think is gonna happen when they find out he's right around the corner? It was only a matter of time before the streets went insane. At first, it was smooth. Videos from the early morning hours show YoungBoy dressed low-key in a black jacket and shades, walking with confidence like he owned the night. A few fans noticed, ran up, snapped flicks, and showed love. You could hear it in their voices, pure excitement, disbelief, joy. They were seeing a living legend just chilling, walking right next to them. But that peace didn't last long. Social media killed the calm. Within minutes, literally minutes, word spread like wildfire. Somebody went live, somebody else posted his location, and suddenly the streets were flooded. What started as 10 fans turned into hundreds rushing toward him from every direction. The French Quarter lit up like it was Mardi Gras all over again. But this time, the parade had no control. The crowd swelled so fast it turned into a full-on mob scene. People were pushing through traffic, climbing over barriers, and sprinting across intersections just to get closer. Fans were screaming his name, phones in the air, reaching out just to brush his jacket or get that one perfect selfie. The air was thick with energy and panic all at once. It was love, chaos, and danger mixed into one. Before long, movement was nearly impossible. People were trapped shoulder to shoulder, screaming, crying, laughing. It was madness. What started as a spontaneous street moment of connection between a star and his fans flipped into a situation that could have gone bad real quick. It was like watching a real-life movie scene unfold, except this time, the director wasn't in charge. The streets were. Here's where things went from wild to straight movie mode. Those NOPD officers who had been patrolling the streets all night didn't waste a second when they saw that mob closing in. They moved in fast, like clockwork, cutting through the chaos before it could spiral out of control. Multiple angles popped up online within minutes. Project NOLA surveillance cams, fan live streams, and phone footage from every direction, showing what looked like a full-blown police extraction right in the middle of Bourbon Street. In one viral clip that's been circulating everywhere, you can literally see 4 to 6 officers surrounding NBA YoungBoy, grabbing him by the arms, shoulders, and torso, lifting him up and dragging him backward through a sea of fans. The crowd went absolutely insane, screaming, crying, chanting his name like it was the end of a movie. Some were reaching for him, others yelling for cops to back off. It was pure emotional chaos. And here's the thing, YoungBoy didn't wild out or swing on anybody. He wasn't out there resisting arrest or trying to start a scene. But you could see it in his body language. He didn't want to leave. This was his city, his home, and his people, showing him love on his birthday. It felt like he was being ripped away from a moment that was supposed to be pure celebration. He looked frustrated, almost like he couldn't believe it was ending like this. The whole scene lasted maybe 5 minutes, but it felt like forever. The officers moved with precision. No weapons drawn, no pepper spray, no riot gear, Just firm, controlled movements to get him safely through that dense crowd. They escorted him to a waiting black SUV, doors flew open, and within seconds, boom, he was gone. The car peeled off as fans chased it down the street screaming, "Young boy! Young boy!" until the taillights disappeared. After the dust settled, the NOPD dropped an official statement clearing up all the rumors flying around. They said point blank, no crime was committed, no one was arrested, and no charges were filed. The operation was strictly about crowd control and public safety, both for NBA YoungBoy and for the hundreds of fans who could have been seriously hurt if things got out of hand. From the moment the crowd started forming to the second that SUV pulled off, it was all over in less than 10 minutes. But in that short time, it became the most talked about clip in hip-hop, flooding every timeline, every blog, and every gossip page out there. What was supposed to be a quiet birthday stroll turned into one of the most intense and unforgettable nights New Orleans had seen in years. Those 10 minutes, just 10 minutes, captured something you can't fake. The bond between NBA YoungBoy and his fans. It wasn't about fame, money, or views. It was raw, unfiltered connection. That moment showed the kind of loyalty most artists only dream about. These weren't just fans, they were family in the streets, showing love to a man who represents their struggle, their sound, their city. And get this, the madness didn't even stop his grind. Despite all the chaos the night before, the second show at the Smoothie King Center on October 20th went down exactly as planned. No cancellations, no delays, just pure energy again. Security was still tight though. The NOPD wasn't playing games, keeping their heavy presence locked in across the French Quarter all night long. They weren't taking any chances of that crowd turning wild twice in a row. Still, the fact that YoungBoy even walked the streets publicly like that speaks volumes about who he is. Most artists at his level move in silence. Black SUVs, hidden exits, bulletproof entourages, but not him. That's Baton Rouge blood right there. He moves like someone who's still part of the block, who remembers exactly where he came from. That's what makes him so magnetic, so unpredictable, and so real. The videos from that night keep flooding social media. Fans rocking green Never Broke Again gear, chanting his name, crying tears of joy, and shouting "Welcome home" as he passed by. It wasn't chaos for them, it was celebration. You could feel the pride and love echoing through every clip, like the whole city was saying, "We missed you." But here's the twist. While New Orleans managed to hold it down with that massive police response, that night was just one piece of a bigger storm brewing nationwide. Because what went down in Louisiana? It's been happening in city after city across the MASS tour. We're talking fights breaking out backstage, shows being shut down mid-set, and promoters backing out at the last second. This wasn't your average rap tour. It was a traveling whirlwind of controversy, adrenaline, and unpredictable energy. Every stop came with its own drama, its own headlines, its own chaos. And fans couldn't look away. Some called it the tour from hell. Others said it was the rawest, most real hip-hop experience in years. Either way, everyone's tuned in, because wherever NBA YoungBoy goes, peace never stays for long. The MASS tour, Make America Slime Again, wasn't just another rap tour. It was NBA YoungBoy's first ever major arena takeover. A 45-city nationwide run produced by Live Nation alongside his Never Broke Again label. This was history in motion. We're talking massive arenas, sold-out crowds, and millions in revenue pouring in from coast to coast. Tickets started at $50 for the nosebleeds, but shot up past $500 for VIP, and those luxury packages sold out in minutes. Every night was proof that YoungBoy's fan base is one of the most loyal and powerful in hip-hop. But here's the dark side, the one the cameras don't show. Behind those packed venues, behind the lights and money, this tour became a security nightmare. We're talking violent altercations, cancellations, fights, and chaos breaking out in city after city. It didn't take long before people started calling it the most unpredictable tour in modern rap history. Things went left almost immediately. The tour kicked off September 1st in Dallas, and from that very first night, the energy was intense, almost too intense. Then came the second stop at Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles on September 10th, and that's where the madness officially exploded. Right in the middle of YoungBoy performing his hit song Lonely Child, a full-blown brawl broke out in the crowd. Thousands were singing along 1 second, and the next, It was punches flying, chairs flipping, and fans diving over rows to get away from the chaos. The scene looked like a war zone. Security guards sprinting down the aisles, trying to break it up as the beat kept thundering through the speakers. Video clips from the 20,000-seat arena went viral instantly. Fans shoving each other, people tumbling over seats, and security dragging folks out by their jackets. You could hear YoungBoy trying to keep performing while the crowd roared behind him, the tension so thick it could have snapped in half. Eventually, security managed to calm things down. No arrests were made, no serious injuries reported, but the damage was already done. The tone was set. That night made it clear this wasn't going to be a smooth ride across America. This was going to be a test of patience, control, and chaos management. But just when fans thought the LA fight was a one-time thing, the situation in Kansas City proved otherwise. And this time, it was worse. On September 21st, 2025, at the T-Mobile Center, things took a dark turn. Footage surfaced online showing a violent confrontation between a young fan and an elderly arena worker.
But at this specific concert in Kansas City, at the T-Mobile Arena, there was an elderly man in the video that is seen being attacked by a younger guy, like a really younger guy.
Elderly man was at the show? Or was
the
he
elderly
working?
man was working at the arena. He was
security, right?
Yeah, he was security.
The clip spread across social media like wildfire. Fans couldn't believe what they were seeing. The worker was just trying to calm the crowd near the barricades when things got heated. The fans snapped, and the situation turned ugly fast. It was the kind of moment that makes headlines for all the wrong reasons. A heartbreaking, chaotic scene that forced Live Nation and YoungBoy's team to take a hard look at how out of control things were getting. The hype was undeniable, but the danger, that was starting to feel just as real. That Kansas City stop turned into one of the darkest moments of the entire MASS tour. What went down that night left fans and staff completely stunned, and it all started with something that should have never happened in the first place. According to reports, a 14-year-old fan, a teenager, allegedly attacked a 66-year-old usher inside the T-Mobile Center. Wild, right? The clip hit social media within hours, blowing up across every platform. You could see the elderly staff member trying to calm down a section near the barricades when out of nowhere, the teen started swinging, punching, and kicking him as security rushed in. The crowd gasped, phones went up, and within seconds, the footage was everywhere. The video was so disturbing it had fans and critics alike asking, "What's going on at these shows?" The venue's VP of Sales and Marketing, Shawnee Ross, didn't hold back either. She released an official statement confirming that multiple staff members were injured that night and required on-site first aid before being taken to the hospital for further treatment. That's how wild it got. Local law enforcement immediately got involved. The footage was turned over to police, and by the end of the night, the 14-year-old was detained. The case was officially handed to prosecutors for review. No one could believe it. A kid at a concert assaulting a senior staff member during one of the biggest tours in America. But this wasn't some isolated scuffle. It exposed a much deeper issue that's been haunting NBA YoungBoy's shows: uncontrollable energy mixed with poor crowd control. When you pack tens of thousands of passionate fans into one place, emotions run high, and sometimes that love turns dangerous. This Kansas City moment became a warning sign for what was still to come. And just when people thought the chaos might settle down, the tour hit its biggest roadblock yet: straight-up cancellations. Entire shows started getting pulled off the schedule with almost no notice, all because of security fears and ongoing beef surrounding YoungBoy's name. The most serious tension came from his long-standing feud with Chicago rapper Lil Durk.
Rapper NBA YoungBoy's Make America Slime Again tour will not be making a stop in Chicago. The United Center has canceled the concert.
A rivalry that's been simmering ever since the tragic 2020 death of King Von. This beef goes way deeper than social media jabs. It's rooted in real pain, real losses, and real-world consequences that stretch far beyond music. Promoters knew it, venues knew it, and law enforcement definitely knew it. That's why when YoungBoy's team announced a show at Chicago's United Center for September 24th, 2025, red flags immediately went up. The city wasn't playing around. Just one day before the concert, the venue pulled the plug entirely. Show canceled, doors closed, fans refunded. The official word was safety concerns, but everyone knew what that really meant. This wasn't about logistics. It was about preventing another tragedy tied to one of hip-hop's most volatile rivalries. And from that point forward, it became clear. The MASS tour wasn't just entertainment anymore, it was a ticking time bomb. The United Center cancellation in Chicago sent shockwaves through the industry. The venue dropped an official statement saying they couldn't guarantee the safety of concert attendees after receiving intel about potential violence connected to NBA YoungBoy's ongoing beef. Think about how serious that is. A major arena in one of the biggest cities in America basically admitting, we can't promise y'all will be safe if this show goes down. That's not just caution, that's fear in real time.
And they wanted to do the show. It got canceled abruptly by the venue. So because they didn't cancel, and usually if you see how these contracts read, is only time you don't get paid is if you don't do your deliverables, or what they call is like an act of God, like the building blow up or something, right? But no, they made it so they got paid.
Fans were furious. Some had already traveled hours to Chicago, even waiting outside the arena gates when the news broke. People were shouting, crying, demanding answers. Many had planned entire trips around this concert only to be turned away at the last minute. The disappointment turned the parking lot into a scene of pure frustration. Hundreds of fans standing around chanting his name, refusing to leave. YoungBoy's manager, Alex J, didn't hold back either. He called out the United Center publicly, accusing the venue of a last-minute bailout that punished the fans more than anyone else. His post went viral, screenshots flying across Twitter and Instagram, saying how hard the team worked to make the show happen safely, only for the rug to get pulled out from under them. Sure, Ticketmaster started issuing refunds immediately, but the damage was done. That cancellation hit the MASS tour hard. It messed with the momentum, shook fan trust, and sparked heated debates online about whether venues were overreacting or protecting lives. But here's where it gets even crazier. Industry insiders revealed a wild detail. Even though the concert got canceled, NBA YoungBoy still got paid in full. Because the venue made the call, not his team. His entire appearance fee, merch projections, and travel reimbursements were still secured. That means YoungBoy walked away with his bag untouched, while the arena ate the loss. Still, that win didn't calm the storm. If anything, it proved how unpredictable this tour had become. Every city came with new risks, new headlines, new drama, and that tension followed him straight into the next stop. Fast forward to October 13th at Colonial Life Arena, and once again, chaos tried to creep in. Mid-performance, while the crowd was going wild, somebody started throwing things at the stage. Bottles, shirts, maybe even shoes, just launching random stuff toward YoungBoy. The crowd gasped as security scrambled to locate the person responsible. That's when YoungBoy grabbed the mic and snapped, his voice booming through the speakers. "This is a YoungBoy show, don't play with me tonight." You could feel the tension in the air after that. Dead silence for a few seconds, then a wave of nervous murmurs. Security finally dragged the person out, but you could see YoungBoy pacing the stage, visibly irritated. It wasn't just about one fan, it was about control, respect, and setting boundaries in front of thousands of eyes. After a tense 5-minute pause, the music kicked back in, and the crowd roared again, trying to shake off what just happened. But the vibe had changed. That one moment showed just how fragile the balance was between YoungBoy's passion and his audience's chaos. Every show was starting to feel like a test, a battle between energy and order, fame and fire. And by now, one thing was clear. This tour wasn't just making headlines, it was surviving them. Then came Atlanta, October 15th, 2025. The night the entire MASS tour nearly collapsed in real time. The State Farm Arena was packed, fans were hyped, the lights were set, but chaos was waiting right outside the door. It all kicked off at the VIP entrance where NBA YoungBoy's entourage, which included none other than popular streamer Adin Ross, ran into serious trouble with local police and security. According to witnesses, a heated confrontation broke out as YoungBoy's crew tried to get inside. Voices were raised, arms were flying, and officers started blocking entry, refusing to let certain members through. Fans caught everything on video, shouting, arguing, and tense body language that had everyone thinking this was about to blow up into something major. For a few terrifying minutes, it honestly looked like the entire concert might get canceled on the spot. But somehow, cooler heads managed to prevail. After nearly 20 minutes of pure confusion and back and forth yelling, de-escalation finally happened. Security worked things out with local authorities, the tension broke, and the show eventually went on as planned. Still, the damage was done. Clips of that chaotic VIP standoff hit social media instantly, spreading like wildfire. The headlines read, YoungBoy versus police in Atlanta again. And once that narrative hit the blogs, there was no stopping it. And sure enough, just 2 days later, on October 17th, the rescheduled Atlanta show, which was supposed to make up for the chaos, got completely canceled. Officials cited unresolved safety risks and logistical concerns, but insiders say the truth was simple. Nobody wanted to take the risk of another near disaster. Atlanta had seen enough, but Atlanta wasn't the only hotspot. This entire tour had been a pressure cooker on wheels. City after city kept reporting incidents that painted a clear picture. NBA YoungBoy's shows were becoming too intense to control. Videos flooded TikTok, X, and Instagram. Clips showing full-blown fights breaking out mid-performance right as the beat dropped. In some cities, fans in the pit section turned the concert floor into a brawl pit. Punches thrown, bottles flying, phones smashed, and security sprinting in to break it all up while the music kept blasting. And it didn't stop there. At multiple venues, fans started rushing the lower levels, charging past guards to get closer to the stage. Picture hundreds of people running down staircases, ignoring barriers, overpowering security like a tidal wave of bodies. Videos show guards being completely overrun, chairs getting picked up and moved, people creating their own DIY seating sections just to be near YoungBoy. It was wild, it was dangerous, and it was pure chaos caught on camera. Then, to make things even more tense, that Lil Durk beef followed YoungBoy everywhere he went. The feud was so deep that even when Durk wasn't in the building, the energy was, you could feel it. Every performance carried that underlying tension, that feeling that something could pop off at any moment. At shows in Newark and New Jersey, things got especially uneasy. Rumors spread that Durk's people were in the crowd watching. Fans whispered about potential confrontations, and that paranoia just fed the madness. Security presence doubled overnight, police cruisers were spotted circling venues, and every night started to feel like a standoff between fame, danger, and survival. By this point, it wasn't just a tour anymore, it was a moving storm, and every city it touched left behind headlines, bruises, and viral clips that made the world ask, can NBA YoungBoy even finish this tour? By the time the tour reached its final stretch, things were getting dangerously personal. Fans who dared to show love for Lil Durk, even just shouting his name, were putting themselves at serious risk. In crowd after crowd, anyone yelling "Free Durk" or "Free Smirk" found themselves surrounded by NBA YoungBoy supporters and entourage within seconds. One viral clip showed exactly how wild it got. A fan in the front row screamed out, "Free Durk!" And within moments, multiple people jumped him, fists flying, chaos breaking out, and the crowd screaming as security rushed in to pull people apart before the situation turned deadly. The video blew up online instantly, millions of views in hours, painting a vivid picture of how tense and explosive these shows had become. It wasn't just music anymore, it was tribal loyalty playing out live under the lights. Venues and local police had no choice but to start tightening up security to extreme levels. We're talking metal detectors at every door, bag checks twice over, and officers lined up both inside and outside the arenas. At some shows, even with no bag rules in place, security still searched everything from jackets to phone cases. And in certain high-risk cities, like New Orleans, they rolled out hundreds of officers across entire neighborhoods just to keep things under control. But here's the reality. Despite all the danger, the money was too good to walk away from. Each stop on the MASS tour was pulling in millions in ticket sales, merch, concessions, and parking alone. So even with fights, arrests, and cancellations, Live Nation and YoungBoy's team kept the show rolling. They rescheduled where possible, absorbed the financial hits, and pushed forward because the demand was unstoppable. By mid-October 2025, the tour had hit over 30 cities, surviving 4 complete cancellations and countless near disasters. And surprisingly, instead of backing down, YoungBoy started adapting. He began pausing his sets mid-show when things got heated, personally stepping up to calm fans down. In some clips, you can see him calling out from the stage, saying stuff like, "We not here to fight, we here to win together." That blend of street energy and maturity showed a side of YoungBoy most people hadn't seen before. At the same time, the production stayed top tier. Massive LED screens, fire bursts, live bands, and visuals that made every performance feel cinematic. Even through the drama, fans kept showing up by the thousands, proving that nothing could shake their loyalty to him. But if you really want to understand why NBA YoungBoy's tour carries this kind of power, why the crowds get so emotional, why every night teeters between love and chaos, you gotta go back to the beginning, to the roots that built the man behind the madness. Born Kentrell Deshaun Gaulden on October 20th, 1999 in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, YoungBoy's story starts in the trenches. A product of the streets, raised in one of the roughest parts of the South, his music isn't some manufactured image, it's pain, survival, and truth wrapped in sound. Every bar he spits comes from something he lived, lost, or fought for. That's why his fans go so hard for him. They see themselves in his lyrics. They feel his fight in their bones. From the corner blocks of Baton Rouge to sold-out arenas across America, NBA YoungBoy's rise isn't just success, it's resistance. His shows aren't just concerts. They're emotional war zones, fueled by struggle, loyalty, and a connection so real it scares people. The MASS tour didn't just show his popularity, it exposed how deeply his world and his fans' world are intertwined, for better or worse. And as the lights keep flashing and the crowds keep roaring, one thing's certain, NBA YoungBoy's story is far from over. The same streets that built him now echo his name louder than ever. And no ban, no beef, and no chaos can silence the movement he's built from the ground up. NBA YoungBoy's story didn't start with fame or fortune. It started in circumstances that would have broken most people. His father was serving a life sentence for murder, and his mother was caught in the grip of addiction, leaving him to be raised by his grandmother in a small Section 8 apartment deep in Baton Rouge. We're not talking about just struggling, we're talking about pure survival mode. Every day was a fight to make it out alive. The streets weren't playgrounds, they were battlefields. Violence was part of the routine, and hope was hard to come by. Opportunities? Almost non-existent. But in the middle of all that chaos, something clicked. At just 11 years old, Kentrell found his escape: music. He started teaching himself how to rap by watching YouTube tutorials, learning how to record, edit, and layer his own tracks. He didn't have fancy gear, just a $200 microphone plugged into his grandma's old desktop computer. That was his studio. He'd sit in her living room spitting bars while the TV hummed in the background, chasing a dream no one else could see. And that's where his magic began: raw, DIY, and painfully real. That rough, unpolished sound became his signature. He blended trap drums with melodic autotune, mixing vulnerability with aggression. 1 second he's whispering his pain, the next he's spitting fire like a man with nothing left to lose. That contrast, that emotional swing, became the heartbeat of his music. His beats carried that same duality too: dark piano loops, ghostly synths, and minimal percussion that made every lyric feel like a confession. His tracks weren't made for clubs, they were made for late nights, for people who felt that same pain, that same hunger, that same isolation. Listening to YoungBoy felt like reading pages ripped straight out of his diary, unfiltered, emotional, and raw to the bone. From those early sessions in his grandmother's apartment to the massive success that followed, his output has been nothing short of legendary. Since 2015, he's dropped over 26 projects, albums, mixtapes, EPs, you name it. And the numbers, unreal. Over 20 billion Spotify streams, a YouTube channel with 10 million subscribers, and 15 billion total views, making him the most watched rapper in YouTube history. But what really sets him apart isn't just the stats, it's the grind. His work ethic is borderline obsessive. Even when he was under house arrest or locked up behind bars, he kept dropping new music like time didn't exist. He'd record verses from home studios over the phone or however he could because the music never stopped. Every release, every track, every line is a reminder of where he came from and what he survived. That's why his fans connect so deeply. They're not just listening, they're living through him. His story isn't polished or pretty, it's real, raw, and relentless. From Baton Rouge's concrete corners to topping global charts, NBA YoungBoy built an empire out of pain, grit, and an unbreakable will to be heard. His journey proves that even when the world writes you off, you can still flip your story and turn struggle into legacy. While NBA YoungBoy was locked down in his Utah mansion under federal supervision, he still managed to do the unthinkable. Drop over 100 songs. Let that sink in. Most artists can't release that much music in an entire career, but he did it while confined, proving that not even walls or watchful eyes could silence his grind. But it's not just about the quantity, it's the content that hits so hard. His lyrics speak directly to the streets, echoing the pain, pride, and pressure that come with survival. YoungBoy's music lives in this dual reality. On one side, it celebrates the hustle, the grind, the come up. On the other, it lays bare the loneliness, trauma, and scars that success can't erase. He doesn't glamorize the struggle, he confesses it. He'll spit about stolen whips, poles, and dreams of millions, all over triumphant beats that sound like victory marches. Then mid-verse, he flips it, talking about watching his mama cry while he's out here buying her a house with the same money that came from that pain. That's what makes his lyrics hit different. They're not just flex bars, they're survival blueprints, rags to riches confessions written from a place of raw truth. The never broke again mantra isn't just a label, it's a way of life. It's rebellion against poverty, a badge of endurance, and a reminder to never fold, no matter how heavy the struggle gets. It's about grit, resilience, and breaking generational curses by sheer willpower. That slogan became a code, a movement, and YoungBoy's fans live by it with their whole hearts. Walk into one of his concerts and you'll see it right away. It's like stepping into a green army of loyalty. Fans show up decked out in oversized hoodies, neon green kicks, slime logos, and custom NBA gear from head to toe. The vibe is electric. Tens of thousands of people moving in sync, chanting every lyric like gospel. It's not just a crowd, it's a culture, a living, breathing extension of YoungBoy's world.
Yo, they love, like, the way the generation after us looked at Wayne.
Zaya compared him to Tupac, and
is how they look at YoungBoy though.
I get
like, he's that nigga. Like, they would die for this nigga for real.
Yeah. Clearly,
the visual unity is striking. Waves of green light sticks, smoke machines painting the air lime-colored, and fans holding handmade posters that read, "Never broke again forever." Every show feels like a rally, a family reunion, and a sermon all wrapped in one. The people in those arenas don't just listen to him, they see themselves in him. His core audience, often identifying themselves as YBNs, short for YoungBoy supporters, skews toward teens and young adults from underrepresented neighborhoods. They know the pain he raps about because they've lived it. They relate to the betrayal, the poverty, the heartbreak, and that desperate hunger to make it out. But they also connect to the hope he represents. The idea that someone who came from nothing could still build an empire, stay real, and never lose his voice. When YoungBoy hits that stage, it's not just a performance, it's a shared release. You can feel the emotion ripple through the crowd as he performs songs that sound less like hits and more like therapy sessions set to 808s. Every scream, every lyric shouted back at him is an echo of that same pain and power. For these fans, NBA YoungBoy isn't just an artist, he's proof. Proof that even when the odds are stacked, you can still rise. His concerts aren't parties, they're declarations of survival, unity, and defiance. At an NBA YoungBoy concert, something bigger than music happens. It turns into a spiritual experience for the streets. These aren't just shows, they're communal exorcisms of pain and proof of survival. You can feel it in the air. Thousands of fans rapping word for word, every lyric hitting like it's ripped straight from their own lives. The energy isn't hype, it's healing. Every verse feels like YoungBoy is voicing the pain, trauma, and hope of a generation that refuses to be silenced. Fans don't just sing along, they scream from their souls. Songs about betrayal, survival, and redemption echo through the crowd like chants in a temple. Critics and fans alike have said it feels historic, comparing the love and loyalty YoungBoy's generation has for him to how earlier generations revered Tupac or Lil Wayne. That's how deep this bond runs. It's cultural, emotional, generational. People who've been to his shows describe the energy as cult-like in the best way possible. And they're not wrong. It's like stepping into a massive family reunion for the hood. Collective sing-alongs, hugs between strangers, tears in people's eyes. Everyone there has lived some version of the same struggle. And when YoungBoy opens up about his demons, anxiety, loss, betrayal, survival, It's like he's giving the crowd permission to breathe again. One fan from Ohio wrote on social media, "Being in that arena felt like I was part of something bigger than myself. Everyone around me understood me without even speaking. That sense of unity, of belonging in a world that often doesn't care, that's what keeps fans coming back." But here's where things take a darker turn. That same passion that brings people together can also tear things apart. Because when emotions run that high, territorial instincts kick in. Fans start seeing themselves not just as supporters, but as soldiers, ready to defend their favorite artist by any means. And that's exactly what's been happening. The ongoing beef with Lil Durk, fueled by diss tracks and the 2020 death of King Von, has turned certain concert crowds into battle zones. What started as lyrical competition has evolved into real-world hostility. At some shows, even a single mention of Durk's name has triggered full-on fights, security dragging people out before things got deadly. This isn't your typical fan rivalry. It's personal, it's generational, it's street loyalty colliding with global fame. Fans treat these concerts like tests of allegiance, screaming, "Why be better?" like it's a code of honor. For them, this isn't just about hip-hop. It's about choosing sides in a war of identity, pain, and pride. Security teams across cities have had to learn this the hard way. Fights don't always start because of a bump or a spilled drink. They start because somebody said the wrong rapper's name out loud. And when that happens, things can spiral fast. The reality is, YoungBoy's audience skews young Gen Z and early millennials, people raised on social media, where beefs play out in real time and every tweet feels like a challenge. They grew up in a world where artists are more than musicians. They're role models, voices of resistance, and sometimes battle flags. That level of attachment creates power and danger. At its best, that passion creates unity, turning stadiums into safe spaces for people who've been ignored their whole lives. But at its worst, it blurs the line between fan and fighter, between love and war. And no one embodies that razor-thin balance quite like NBA YoungBoy, a man who's both the voice of his generation and the lightning rod for all its chaos. A huge part of NBA YoungBoy's audience is under 18, and that right there changes everything. These are kids who grew up seeing him rise from nothing to the top, and to them, he's not just a rapper, he's a symbol of survival. They look at him and see everything they want to be, successful despite the odds, unapologetic about his roots, fearless when facing authority, and loyal to the soil that raised him. That kind of admiration brings power, but it also brings danger. These young fans carry unfiltered passion and impulsive energy into every show, turning arenas into pressure cookers of emotion. To them, YoungBoy isn't a celebrity. He's one of them. His music speaks their truth about pain, struggle, betrayal, and defiance. But sometimes that energy spills over, mirroring the very aggression his lyrics describe. What's supposed to be a celebration can flip into chaos in seconds. Yet even in the middle of that storm, there's something powerful and healing happening. Throughout the MASS tour, YoungBoy has shown flashes of real growth, pausing performances to calm fans down, grabbing the mic to remind everyone, "We family here." Put that energy in the music, not on each other. And it works. The lights come on, the crowd cools down, and the night resets with even more unity than before. It's a wild thing to see. Chaos transformed into peace by the same man who once embodied it. Those moments prove he's not just an artist, he's evolving, trying to guide his people instead of fueling the fire. He's also been showing love beyond the music. During stops on tour, he's brought fans on stage for birthday shout-outs, handed out stacks of cash, and quietly donated to local communities after shows. In Atlanta, something truly unexpected happened. State Representative Inga Willis and community leaders surprised him mid-performance with a peace pledge, honoring his influence on the youth. You could see the emotion hit him. He dedicated the encore to the kids watching, trying to make it out, tossed signed merch into the crowd, hugged fans, and left everyone in the building feeling something real. But it's impossible to talk about YoungBoy's rise without acknowledging the shadow of his past, his legal history that follows him like a second spotlight. From being locked up at 15 for robbery to facing attempted murder charges in Austin that later became an aggravated assault plea, his early years were chaos on repeat. Then came the 2018 Miami hotel incident caught on camera, showing him dragging his then-girlfriend through a lobby, a dark moment that still haunts his reputation. And of course, the 2021 federal firearms case, a moment straight out of a movie. The FBI pursuit, the arrest in Los Angeles, it cemented his image as both rebel and survivor. Through all that, though, he never stopped creating, never stopped reaching the people who saw themselves in him. At his core, YoungBoy remains a paradox, both the fire and the extinguisher. His music and his movement walk the thin line between chaos and redemption, but one thing's clear. Even in the madness, his connection to the street stays unbreakable. NBA YoungBoy's criminal record reads like a cautionary tale, a timeline of pain, persistence, and power colliding under the public eye. His most infamous case, known within the FBI as Operation Never Free Again, was seen by his lawyers as a direct shot at his Never Broke Again brand. The federal investigation painted him as a high-risk repeat offender, while his team argued it was another example of the system trying to break a young black man who refused to fold. The case led to house arrest in Utah, where prosecutors claimed he was running a prescription drug fraud operation while under supervision. After months of legal back and forth, it ended with a 23-month federal sentence for firearms violations. But even then, his story didn't stop. He earned an early release to a halfway house in March 2025, only to make headlines again 2 months later when Donald Trump granted him a controversial presidential pardon. That single decision flipped the whole narrative. Critics were furious, calling it undeserved leniency, while supporters from the streets celebrated it as real justice, a win for someone they believed had been targeted by systemic bias and selective prosecution. To them, the pardon wasn't about politics, it was about vindication. Every arrest, every scandal, every courtroom headline has become part of his mythology, woven into his lyrics, his brand, and his image. His fans don't see these moments as proof of failure. They see them as proof of authenticity. To them, he's not pretending to live that life. He survived it. And that's what gives his music so much emotional weight. In one track, he's flexing about money and fame. In the next, he's crying out to God, confessing that the violence, the fame, and the demons have left him empty. He raps about how the streets took pieces of him he'll never get back, about the toll it's taken on his family, and about talking to God while the devil whispers in his ear. Those moments hit his fans right in the chest because they recognize that same inner war inside themselves. Now, as of October 2025, with the MASS tour more than halfway done and his streaming numbers up 30% since the New Orleans chaos, NBA YoungBoy's momentum shows no signs of slowing down. His influence stretches far beyond music. He's shaping culture, molding a generation's emotional language, and giving kids from the trenches a voice they never had before. Whether people see him as a victim of circumstance or the architect of his own chaos, one thing's undeniable. NBA YoungBoy has become a movement. He's not just a rapper, he's a mirror for a generation born in struggle and raised on survival. His story isn't perfect, but it's real. And that's exactly why millions of fans see themselves in every lyric, every scar, and every victory he lives through. When you strip everything away, the fame, the money, the controversy, you're left with one undeniable truth. NBA YoungBoy is living proof that pain can build empires. His story reads like a modern-day epic: chaos, redemption, rebellion, and resilience, all unfolding in front of millions of eyes that see themselves in him. From Baton Rouge's rough blocks to federal courtrooms and back to sold-out arenas, he's fought every battle in public. He's been praised, punished, doubted, and adored. Yet somehow, he's still standing taller than ever. Every verse he spits sounds like a journal entry from a man still trying to make peace with his demons while inspiring a generation to face theirs. The numbers say success, but the streets say something deeper. They see a kid who made it out without selling his soul, who turned the pain that tried to destroy him into power that can't be contained. His songs aren't just tracks, they're therapy sessions, survival guides, and warning labels wrapped into one. Whether he's praying for forgiveness or flexing his success, every word feels earned. Still, no one can deny that his rise came at a heavy price. Every arrest, every feud, every tragedy became another chapter in a saga that feels larger than life. His federal cases, his public battles, even the presidential pardon, all of it shaped the legend. To some, he's chaos in human form. To others, he's proof that redemption is real if you're willing to fight for it. As the MASS tour rages on, one thing's clear. NBA YoungBoy's impact has exploded far beyond hip-hop. He's not just shaping sound, he's shaping culture, giving voice to a generation raised on resilience. From the trenches to TikTok, from Section 8 to superstardom, his movement represents more than a fan base. It's a global brotherhood of survival. Love him or hate him, you can't ignore him. Because in a world that keeps trying to silence the raw and the real, NBA YoungBoy refuses to whisper. His life is a message. You can be broken and still build something beautiful from the pieces, and that's what makes his story legendary. This is BarzBuzz, where the culture never sleeps and every beat tells a truth the headlines won't. If you felt this story, don't stop here. Click one of the videos on your screen to dive into more untold sagas straight from the heart of hip-hop. Because around here, we don't just cover the bars, we break down the legacy behind them. If this saga had you shook, wait till you see what's next. You already know what it is. BarzBuzz got the real, raw, and unfiltered breakdowns. So don't forget to like, subscribe, drop a comment, and share this with someone who needs to catch up.